Okay, this is going to be an introductory tutorial on Linux for beginners, and I'm using VMware Player here, and I've got a recent install of Ubuntu. This is Ubuntu 11.10. It's got a new desktop, this Unity desktop, but I'm just going to use this as an introductory video to talk about the terminal, the bash shell, and some basic commands for navigating around the command line interface. So I'm going to go over here to this home, and I'm going to search for the terminal. So I'm going to type in terminal, and there it is. Alright, and now I have a command line terminal. You can see right off the bat from the command line terminal, it has my username. It's my username Dan, right? And this is the prompt. You can see the $sign, and then the tilde stands for my home folder. So we're going to talk about some basic commands right now. So the first command that we're going to learn is the print working directory command, pwd. If I type in pwd and I hit enter, it tells me which directory I'm in. And you can see here that if you want to look at these directories as folders, I'm in the root folder, which is signified by the /, and then I'm in the home folder, and then I'm in the Dan folder. So I'm in my home folder, right? Now, if I want to navigate around these folders, I can use the change directory command or cd. So what I can do is I can say cd ... and that will go up one directory. So I'll go up one directory, and then I'll type pwd, print working directory, and now I'm in the home folder, right? And then if I hit change directory space ... and I hit enter, and then I do pwd, you'll see that all you see is a /, and that means I'm now in root. Now, so we've learned two commands so far: print working directory, which shows you what directory you're in, and cd, which is change directory. Now, pwd is useful to know, to orient to yourself to where you are in the file system, but an even more useful command is the ls command, which is the list command, which will tell you the files in the directory. And so if I type ls, I see the files and folders, or the files and directories that are in the root folder, right? Once again, the root folder is signified by a /, and it is the top of the file system. If you wanted to compare it to Windows, it would be like the C drive. Okay, you can't go any higher in the file system than the root directory. So in here you can see the blue signifies folders or directories, and let's see here. So you can see here there's the bin folder, which has executable programs in it, right? There is the home folder where the user folders are located, right? The lib folder for library files. Let's see here. You've got the dev folder for devices, right? The boot folder for booting the system, right? All kinds of folders in here, right? var, which is short for variables. This is a lot of stored variable information that changes regularly, right? The etc directory, the etc directory, which has configuration files in it also, used like for system utilities and things like that. And anyway, if we want to go into some of these folders, we could just say, all right, change directory. And since home is in this folder, right, we can just type cd home, and now we're in the home directory. Now, this command was a that I used was the command was change directory or cd, and then the path was what we call a relative path, which which is a path oriented to where you are in the file system. There's two types of paths that you need to know about, and that is a relative path, which we can use, or we can use an absolute path. Now, an absolute path starts from root. So for instance, I'm going to do an ls, and there's my folder Dan, so I'll just do a change directory into Dan. Once again, that's a relative path. Now I can supply it the relative path to get to my Dan folder, right? Just like that, change directory and then Dan, and that'll take me into the Dan folder, or I can give it an absolute path. And an absolute path would be something like this. change directory, root, then home, then Dan. And if I do that, that's called an absolute path. And both have the same effect. They just take me where I need to go in the file system. So once again, I can type the relative path or the absolute path. And the absolute path is going to start with the /, which signifies the root directory, right?